How's it going, everybody? And this is a video that I didn't really want to have to make. Nobody wants to have to make this video if you do make videos on Clash Royale, but man, you guys can see it. I mean, everyone can see it. The game is currently in, I would say, one of the worst spots it's been in ever, and I will explain exactly why I'm so frustrated with Supercell as a company and what they have been doing month after month after month, and just kind of explain the frustrations and why they are justified, what causes them, and what maybe even some things that could be done to potentially help, even though they're not going to care. Let's be honest. So it sucks making angry videos in general because I want to be a positive person. I think a lot of people want to be more positive. There's a lot of negativity in life. Just tons everywhere, right? Like, no matter where you are living, no matter where you work, no matter what you do, like, there's going to be negative moments. But it's gotten to a point in this game specifically that there is not really much to be happy or excited about, and I will explain exactly why. It's not because they're not adding new things, it is exactly because they're adding too many new things. So the best update that they've done since normal Clash Royale, before any of these boost cards came out, basically, right? The evolutions. I mean, at first, I'll be honest, I was kind of skeptical on evos. I did see where the appeal was. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. You could probably get a lot of people to want to learn these new mechanics, and it could be interesting, at least for like a while. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a good, interesting addition if you add it to every single card. Add one or two every season, and then maybe add a new card every couple of months as well. And the game was, it was doing all right. Maybe the numbers, I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but depending on how broken the evolution was, people would pretty much have to buy it off rip. And it was just, like, it was interesting for sure. You had to spend the money on the evolutions, which sucked. But that was something that, like, it made you angry, and it made me angry, but it wasn't nearly to the extreme that we are at today. And I'm not even necessarily saying this because the heroes are, like, more expensive or anything than evolutions. The reason I'm saying this is because I literally think that this is the worst update they've ever done, and I don't say that lightly because there's a lot. You could probably make a list of things that they probably should have never done, right? Like, I mean, there's no crazy numbers that I need to show or anything. Like, it's obvious what updates are bad and which updates are, I guess, good for the game, and we really haven't had too much of that recently, so it's kind of hard to tell what updates are good / bad for the game. But yeah, I don't know, it's been a very interesting thing up and down right now. So the first problem that I do have with this update, I'm just going to put some games on in the background, is that level 16, we're just going to talk about that first, is horrible for many reasons, but the main reason it is horrible is because it is literally forcing you to, if you do not buy this card, you have a significant disadvantage. Like, you will lose games. You don't have a choice. For example, this right here, I'm having some level 15 cards in my deck, right? But in general, like, if you are one level under leveled, you're probably going to lose to your opponent if you're around the same skill, even if they're slightly less good than you, or even if they have an okay matchup that's 60% better than to your 40% in that matchup. Like, it's a 60-40 matchup, you're going to lose 100% of the time because it's going to be impossible to actually do anything when your cards are at a disadvantage. If you play Musketeer, gets fireballed and dies instead of living on, like, what, 10% or like freaking 2% health. I don't know what percentage it lives on, like 10 probably. And then, there's a bunch of interactions. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but Graveyard, skeletons in general. I know it takes, like, if your King Tower is not level 16, it takes 3 shots to kill a Goblin Barrel for 1 Goblin, which is absurd. Like, can you even imagine having to deal with that? I'm sure some of you guys have had to deal with that, or still do to this day, and are going to have to, because it's absurdly hard to get the King Tower to level 16 if you didn't already really have, like, pretty much a maxed out account, which hardly anyone does. It takes so much to get a maxed out account in this game, like, not even money, but just time and just progression over and over and over and over and over, day after day, that there's not that many people that had maxed accounts and were, I guess, prepared for this updates. And I think their excuse for the level 15 update was that you could pretty much just, like, there was a lot of people that were max, right? People wanted to upgrade something new. I mean, that's what their thing has been the whole time with these level up updates, and it doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone want to spend money, like, be forced to spend money to upgrade a card that's going to do the exact same thing and not change anything except for the level, like the number? And if you don't upgrade it, then you're at a disadvantage because your opponent will have that level and you won't. You'll be down 1 level. So basically, they're just making everybody under leveled until you have to spend more money, or I guess you could wait around like a year to get a maxed out deck or something if you wanted that as well. But yeah, they kind of tried to disguise that update by adding like a 6-month barrier to ranked. So basically you can't have level 16 cards in ranked until I think 6 months or something, maybe May. I don't know exactly when it is. Nor does it really matter that much, because it's not the point. So they did that, trying to, I guess, like, disguise it. Imagine if they put it directly in ranked. Oh my gosh. But they did this, and then they immediately after were like, oh yeah, let's make 2v2 mode just like Trophy Road, where you have to have level 16s, which 2v2 is a ranked mode. It doesn't make any sense. There's so many flaws with this specific update that it makes me so angry, and I could really talk about it for a long time. And I think that the #1 problem right now is the heroes, and I'll tell you guys exactly why heroes are so much worse for the game than, you know, even champions, and definitely worse than evolutions. So heroes pretty much bring an aspect to the game where it's sort of similar to a champion ability, right? There's broken abilities. You know, heroes aren't necessarily the most broken thing ever released. Like, there's been champions and also evolutions that have been more broken, even cards, right? Like we had Goblin Machine, that are more broken than these champions are, right? And that's kind of not what I'm getting at. Like, their brokenness isn't exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the way they've been added to the game. So we already have these rarities, right? We have the champion. It goes up to champion, and it's already too much. Like, champion was a bad addition to the game, in my opinion. Maybe you could argue like they were okay-ish, and they removed 3-card cycles, so that's good. But then they kind of, you know, went back on that right there, which was kind of hilarious. But yeah, anyways, I think that this is so bad for the game because the heroes, like, bring an aspect to the game where it's just gimmicks. Like, there's not really any thing that you can do. For example, you can quite literally play any of these decks that I'm playing here in this video. They're just brain dead decks. I just decided to play the most broken cards possible in different archetypes because, you know, there's no stopping them. So cards like Mini P.E.K.K.A. are healing themselves. Like, first of all, the healing mechanic in the game was one of the worst they've ever added. I think it actually might be the worst they've ever added when, you know, the Witch is still really broken, by the way, the Evo Witch. I want to low-key say that. I actually faced a couple of those in the last couple of days, and I've been like, whoa, this card is still really good and very annoying if you don't have the right counter to it. I'm trying to keep my voice monotone, but, like, I'm actually really angry at the company right now because they, like I said, they got gifted this second chance. Not even a second chance, but, like, a rebirth almost of just having players that are, like, interested and excited in a game, right? And that doesn't happen, guys, especially in a game like this. If you can see the trending thing, the trending pattern, it literally was at a pretty consistent rate until this boost happened, right? And then, like, bang, it went up like 10% or not 10%, 10 times the player base, which was absurd. You guys realize how insane that is, right? For a mobile game even. You know, I guess you could say one of the best mobile games of all time in Clash Royale, right? And the part that frustrates me the most out of everything is that they decided that this was the time when they have the amount of players and the amount of revenue coming in that is, you know, they're rolling in it. You know what I mean? Rolling in money compared to what they had been in the months before. The revenue literally, I think, maybe tripled or even more than that, which is absurd, guys, because it's multi-millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? You got to think about that and how much that is just coming in. Like, sure, you got to pay everybody, but they are making an absurd amount, like, in take-home pay, basically. And they decide that now is the time when all of the players are excited about the game, you know, wanting to play, and there's still a lot of, like, passion and what's the right way to describe it, like, excitement around the game. And they decide now's the time, let's make a new rarity of a card and force level 16 at the same exact time, which both of them are terrible. Don't get me wrong. They're both horrible updates on their own, but combining two just abysmal things for Clash Royale players, and, like, just in general, not even if you're pay to win, sure, whatever. If you are free to play, it doesn't matter what player you are. This is a bad update. And the reason that it's so frustrating to me is because they know what they're doing. They literally are sitting there witnessing, and I had to make this video because of the announcement that happened like 2 days ago now, with the new heroes. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, they are sitting there watching their game popularity decline, slowly decline, and not even slowly, it's kind of rapidly, and they're like, okay, you know, this update, surely if anyone had a brain cell in the company, they're going to be like, okay, this update was bad. We overstepped our boundaries here in terms of what we can do, how much money we can farm. To be fair, they still got a lot of money, but it's like that's not going to be sustainable. We already all know this. If they continue to treat the game in a manner where it is just a money grab and not a video game that has a community that enjoys, playing the game, right? Like, it's kind of the story of just video games in general. If the company gets greedy, then it ruins the whole game, which really sucks. And this company has been greedy for literally years at this point. Like, it's been so long. I can't remember the last time we had a decent update. Like, they took away the season shop. Let's not forget about that. There was no reason to take away these things. I know they've made progression overall kind of harder. They've always thrown in these like little tiny bits of progression updates that make it better. But overall, it's just been harder to even level up cards in general. They took out the wild cards, which was, interesting, but now it's pretty much impossible to get level 16 cards. I mean, not the wild cards, the elite wild cards. I think you guys know what I meant. But yeah, the reason I'm so frustrated is because we sit here at as a content creator on this game, you never want to be negative, right? But when you're witnessing a company just completely slap you in the face, like time after time after time, and that's just like as a player of Clash Royale, I'm not even saying as a content creator in this aspect. It's just, there's a point where you're like, what's the reason, and why am I on the game? And this is the first time in, I don't even know, so long that I have got on Clash Royale and been like, wow, I really don't want to play because there's nothing to look forward to, and it's not even like I really want a cool new update. I just want the game to be enjoyable, and that's a crazy thing to have to ask apparently to this company, because they had a decent game. I would say the game was all right before they released the Evolution Ghost. There was a decent meta, and there was some variety. It was pretty lit, like in terms of there wasn't that much broken in the meta. Like, there was still good cards, don't get me wrong, that probably needed slight nerfs, but there wasn't overlying huge broken cards that were like dominating Clash Royale in a way that you just couldn't do anything about like we do have now. And it was just, a good time. And then 2 weeks later after that, it was a fun Clash Royale experience. I think that was probably the last time I've had fun playing this game because of the constant additions of new things. That was, of course, before Heroes and level 16 were getting added. And it was just, it's a nightmare right now. I really hope they can turn their thing around and care about their community, but I don't have high hopes, to be honest, guys. I'm sorry to be sad, but yeah. Anyways, have a good one. Peace.